If you're looking at Kajabi right now and thinking, I love the idea of an all-in-one platform, but I'm secretly terrified that my site is going to look amateur because I'm not a designer, this video is for you. I'm Carl. I've done UX design and strategy for Fortune 150 companies, and now I combine that with my background as an educator and adjunct professor to help creators build offers that actually look and feel professional. To show you what's actually possible in Kajabi, I went and literally broke one of my old sales pages on purpose. I turned it into the exact kind of, oh no, is this what my site will look like? Kind of page that people are afraid of. And we're going to rebuild it using nothing but Kajabi's native tools and 3 simple UX guardrails or user experience guardrails so that you can see exactly what you'll be able to do if you choose Kajabi and how to do it easily. Let's talk about why this feels off. We're going to start with an honest audit. When most non-designers open any web page builder, including in Kajabi, they pick a template, they start dropping in their text and colors without a system, and it ends up with something that looks like this. It's not technically broken, like people can read it and there's buttons, but it looks and feels pretty unprofessional. It can be hard to put your finger on why, but it just doesn't look as good as it could look. In user experience, there are 2 versions of every website, the one in your head and the one your visitor actually experiences. And right now, this site makes the visitor work way too hard. So we're going to fix this on 3 different levels: hierarchy, white space, and color. And so the first thing I want to show you is about visual hierarchy. Visual hierarchy is very flat. There's almost no white space, and all the colors are fighting with each other for attention. So people see a page like this and assume that they need to hire a developer or learn custom CSS to fix it. You don't. Don't worry, okay? Kajabi's themes, which are the different ways that you can build websites in here, are incredibly powerful under the hood. Incredibly powerful. You just need to know how to give them room to breathe. So I'm going to go into the theme editor. And so the first fix in here is about visual hierarchy, controlling what people's eyes are drawn to on the page first and as they scroll down. So if you decide to go with Kajabi, then the builder here gives you full control over the heading sizes and section layouts without ever having to touch any code. Right now, the main headline on this page doesn't look any different from the paragraph underneath it. It's hard to really tell what's a title and what ain't, right? So when everything shouts at the same volume, nothing feels important. So if your headline and body copy are the same size, your visitor can't really instantly answer the question that they're asking, which is, am I in the right place? Is this for me, right? So I'm going to actually go into the settings and make the main headline clearly bigger, keeping the sub-headline shorter, and making sure that we're using just one font family for the headings and one for the body text. As a non-designer, you do not need 10 font sizes. If you are a designer and using 10 font sizes, shame on you. Right here, very easy to edit, right? I'm going to highlight this, go to format, headings, H1 for my actual heading. Bam, now that actually looks like a title, right? And then this part, now it looks like a subheadline, okay? And then this part where it says about me, that doesn't need to be very big. So I'm going to take that, I'm not even going to make it a heading, I'm going to make it a paragraph. Wow. That already looks so much better. Now I can tell what this is actually about. And this is the kind of thing you would need to do in every section where there's text. So I want you to think of this in kind of simple guardrails, right? Big, medium, and then small. Your big is your heading, your medium is some kind of H2 or H3, and then your small is just your paragraph text. All right. And this tweak alone is going to account for half of the great glow up that people will feel when they finally get your site looking right. Now, the second thing to fix is going to be white space. This is the exact opposite of what most non-designers think they should do. You know, your instinct is to cram more and more copy into more and more elements into the page so that it feels full or, robust. But Kajabi's templates are designed by professionals to look good with breathing room. So just give it space to work. And so in Kajabi, you can just click these little padding controls here, and it's going to give you all of the spacing control that you need. The two main ways you can do this are with the width controls, and then later on, you can go down here into the spacing controls as well. First, I'm going to start with the big issue first, is this entire block is 12 columns wide. Maybe we don't need to be 12 columns wide. That seems a little better. It's better. And then especially for this image here, don't need that to fit across the entire screen. And if I want to check what it would look like, closer to a screen, yeah, it's still way too big. So I'm going to drop that down to 8, maybe 10, like the one above it. Okay, that looks a little better. What about 8? What about 8? Oh, that's not screaming in my face anymore. That's better. I like that. Okay. And then if you really wanted to get specific, you could go in here and change the inside spacing with the amount of pixels or the outside spacing. But just for this, you don't even have to mess with that, right? You just want to make sure you're adding more vertical space around this hero section and in all your other sections. So the same thing for this section. I'm going to click on it to select it. I'm going to drop it down to 10 columns. It's better. 8 columns. Even better. Even better. And it also fits better with the background image as well. All right. Same thing with this section. Does that need to be 8? What if it was even less? 4. That's too much. But without having to change any code, I can just go back to 8. No big deal. All right. Same thing with these little pricing buttons right here. 6 columns, that's too wide. What if we just did 4? And then I do the other one, 4. Oh, and then look, that lines up with the one above it, which is 8. It's almost like 4 plus 4 is 8. Kajabi makes this so simple, right? And that looks much better than it did before. I can actually focus, I can actually read, stretch this out to full screen. I can see more of what it looks like. This is much easier on my eyes. It's much easier on my brain as far as cognitive load goes. It's another big thing with experience design is reducing cognitive load so that people can process the information. That looks a lot better. Another thing that we can do with spacing. Sometimes you want things to be all in their own line or row. Sometimes you don't. We put this at 6 columns, and this is also 6 columns. Look, they go onto the same line. I'm going to do the same thing again with these. 6. And now this is 6. And I'm going to change the order. Bam. Now we have that typical sales page flow where this module is here and this module is here. Module is here. Right? 6. Here. See, they go back and forth. Back and forth. Looks much easier on the eyes. I have something to look at and something to read instead of them being stacked on one another, one being too big. This is the kind of thing that you want your website to look like as compared to what it was before. You just want to make sure that each block in your website feels like it's one complete thought. If you ever wonder if you've even got enough white space, try this UX test. Scroll the page and ask, could someone screenshot just this section and still understand what it's about? If yes, then it's clear enough. And notice how with these new spacing based on the visual hierarchy, your eyes can rest now. Nothing about the actual offer has changed. I haven't changed any copy, haven't touched any code. The layout is just not competing with itself anymore. By the way, if you're still on the fence about platforms, you're comparing, should I use Kajabi? Should I use Teachable? Should I use Squarespace? What should I use? And you want to get a better feel for how you should actually build your pages with the exact UX principles that I'm using here, then click the link in the description and download my non-designer's guide for world-class courses. It's got 7 UX hacks that break down the exact principles that I use for websites like this, for my own courses. And it's going to give you the type of clarity that you can apply to whatever online course or website that you're going to build, whether you choose Kajabi or a different system. So drop your email in the link below and I'll send it straight to you. So the third fix is going to be around colors and calls to action. This is your buttons, right? Kajabi gives you global theme level control over your color palette, but it's still easy to accidentally pick a combination that makes your buy button disappear into the background or makes it where it really kind of screams at the user instead of making them want to click on it, right? And so right now this broken page has mismatched color buttons. It's got buttons that fade into the background. And so I'm going to simplify all of this on this site by breaking things down into 3 rules, right? 1 main brand color, 1 neutral background, and then 1 accent color strictly reserved for primary buttons. So I'm going to change the primary button color to something that has a strong contrast, and then I'm going to update all of the CTA buttons to use this exact style. Your CTA should be visually obvious, but it should not be aggressive, right? Like this pink here. So the test is this: can someone quickly find the next step on your page without hunting for it? If the answer is yes, on both desktop and mobile, then your color system is doing its job. And right now, if I go up here, the little mobile button for an iPhone Pro, it is not doing that, right? Even the colors of this background, I can't even read the text here. That is not accessible. And you're going to have people that are going to bounce from your site because they can't even read what you're trying to tell them about, even if they were a great fit for your program, right? First things first, let's fix the background. So I just clicked on the background here, and that takes me to the background of this hero spot, all right? And background color. This is the cool thing. You can have a background and have a color on top of it really easily in Kajabi. Right here is where you pick your colors, and then down here is where you pick your opacity, right? So for this website, we've already got an orange and a purple thing going on. For our background color, I'm going to pick purple and then just barely use a little bit of purple. It's mostly going to be black. And then I'm going to make sure that it's pretty dark, right? That's even too much purple. I want even less purple. Just a touch of purple, and it's mostly black. And that allows the text to really shine through, the white text, and you can actually read what's going on, right? And just for simplicity, I'm going to copy that hex code. That's just the computer's way of knowing what exact color that is. And I'm going to drop it on here too. Bam. Now they have the same background color. Now you could, tweak this. You could make this a solid color if you wanted to. Basically, we want to make sure that it's readable and that there's enough contrast so that everything works. And so people can focus on the text, which is the main purpose of the website, not the images. If you want them to focus on an image, then take the text off of it or put it in an image block right here, like this is. Next up, we're going to worry about the buttons. So you could go in here, click on the button, and change the color and everything. But instead, like I was saying, we're going to do it globally across the page. And this will affect buttons across the page, right? I'm going to paste that hex code in there in case this color shows up again. And then for the button color, I want to do this orange because that's already part of the brand. And orange is one of those higher converting colors for CTAs. This pink, probably not as high converting. Notice that I am not doing bright orange, as bright as I can, because I still want to have some contrast. So I'm picking this default Kajabi color, and I know that's gonna contrast well with this white color. I'm gonna have it the width set to auto. Button is solid, large. Now, once I've hit save and I've reload, now you can see this actually shows up. And then this other one, this learn more, I don't need a learn more, right? This is just taking me down to another area of the page. It's cool that you can be able to do that, but I'm actually going to take this block and I'm just going to click hide. All right, now this is much better. And then you'll see as I scroll down, the other buttons on this page have also been fixed. I'll preview it. All right, this looks way better than it was before, right? Way better than it was before. And I didn't even spend that much time on it. So let's look at where we started versus where we landed after just a couple of minutes of work, right? This is the same platform, the exact same text. I didn't touch a single line of custom code. I didn't design anything from scratch. I just used the built-in tools that Kajabi already gives you, paired with 3 non-designer, non-design friendly UX rules: hierarchy, white space, and color. Your main excuse for not launching your business has been, well, I'm not a designer and my site won't look good enough. I want you to see that this is a completely solvable problem. If you're ready to choose Kajabi and you want to build a site that you're actually proud to send people to, use the link in the description to start an exclusive 30-day extended trial. And when you start your trial with my link, you get the full safe launch system as a free bonus. More info about that in the link down below. You'll get the UX non-designer's guide to these principles that I've been using today. And it'll also come with the AI prompt pack to help you write copy that actually fits these types of layouts and gives you ways to interact with the AI that you're actually keeping that human element. You're not just making AI slop. You'll also get the Kajabi confidence course so that you don't get lost in the back end of all these settings while you're getting all set up. Either way, you'll still get the UX hacks guide, but the safe launch system, including the prompt path and the confidence course, is only available when you come in through that 30-day extended trial. So click that link down below to get that. And then let me know in the comments, what is the biggest fear keeping you from starting your online course business right now?